Hi everyone, my name is King IV, and this is a workshop on purchase card analytics for AFM 417 Spring 2015 edition. So this one, as you expect, we're tackling how do you tackle purchase cards, and the data that we have is we have the City of Toronto publicly available data. So there's some fields that would be nice to have, but we don't have. But we'll work with what we do have. So can't really complain since they provide this data for free on their website. So we have data from January 1st, 2011 to December 31st, 2013, which is 3 years worth of data. And obviously we're dealing with purchasing card data. And then here the objective is to identify fraudulent and non-compliant transactions. And the data set we have is this Pcard transactions updated file. A couple things, a couple procedures we want to tackle, and really we just have to list these out. Nothing too complicated here, but things that are particularly important. Okay, so let's get started. So I've already created my idea project, and first thing we need to do is to import our data. So it's this Pcard transaction data. The data set is a little bit large, so you can see I think it's like 100,000 lines. So here I'm just going to call this data, and we're just going to press OK. But you see IDEA is able to handle the file size without too much hassle. We should run some quick field statistics to just get a range and understanding of the data that we're working with. So the transaction amount is the amount converted to Canadian, and the original amount is the actual currency amount. So that could be a mix of different currencies. So you can see here we have some pretty large negative values, or not large negative values, some negative values here. You can see how many records we have, the minimum amount. You can see here who the vendor is, what cost center it went to, how much was charged. You can see this was a reverse of some charges. So some pretty good analysis that you can perform just based off of this data alone. Okay, so let's tackle our first procedure, which is duplicate transactions, same vendor, same transaction date, and same amount. Okay, so what we'll see here is we have this merchant name. We should be using the original amount. That way we're not affected by exchange rates. And then as well, we have a transaction date, which is the date that the transaction actually occurs. So here we're going to use duplicates. In this case, we're going to use detection, so we can detect them. And we're going to list out our keys. So here, we're merchant name. We're going to do transaction amount. And then last one is we're going to do transaction date. So pretty simple. We're going to call this Pcard duplicates. And we're going to include all the fields. And you'll see here, we still have some duplicate transactions. What I like to do is sometimes like to sort by original amount, just so we can sort descending, take a look and really understand what's happening here. You can see here, this was produced on the same batch, back-to-back reports. It's a little bit difficult to say whether or not it's a true duplicate, only because we don't have the employee names. These could be two different employees, but I'm not sure why this also could be running up against their limit as well. So some interesting things happening, different hotels. This could again be same people staying at the same hotel, but still interesting. A good starting point to analyze. Obviously, there's a series of other checks and balances that you could perform. You could go and normalize the merchant name as example before you run your duplicates, because I'm sure there's some that are very similar, or I'm not sure if they manually input it, but regardless, the next thing we're looking at is transactions greater than 10,000. So again, pretty simple. So Pcard large, and in this case we're going to use transaction amount because and the reason why we're worried about transactions greater than 10,000, we're looking for people that are avoiding the accounts payable process. And you do use Pcards because they are quick and easy to use. But what you don't want to do is to use Pcards and start paying contractors, for example, or not being able to take advantage of the favorable payment terms that would be available if you're going through accounts payable, or even the reviews and balances. Like no one actually reviews and checks the balances before these transactions occur. So you can see that they're all in part of one decision. So interesting. And then here, transactions perfectly divisible by 100. So the way I like to do this one is I like to use a couple different functions. I'm going to call it round. And I simply like to go take the integer of the number. So in this case, I'm going to use the original amount because, again, we don't want to be impacted by the transaction amount. And then just divide by 100. And is that the same as the original amount divided by 100? Because if it's not, basically it's going to give us a whole number. It's going to give us the numbers left of the decimal place. And if it's exactly the same as the amount normally, then it's going to be a round amount. So we do that here. And you can see here all these round transactions. And the main reason why we're looking at these round transactions is we're looking for like gift cards. Normally amounts are not round. Maybe some licensing fees we would get rid of or that kind of stuff. But there's definitely some interesting transactions here that are occurring, like electrical supplies, like exactly $1,000. Or advertising promotions, tickets and missions. Like you would then want to pull up the details for those ones. And it doesn't have to be 100. It could be in real life. I use a combination of the round amount and the expense type or the vendors I'm looking at to see if they're, and then I risk rate them rather than just right now. We have limited amount of fields that we're working with. So here, transactions that I'm going to skip that one and go back down to this one just because I think we will get to that one. So this one I'm going to call Pcard keywords because I have another spreadsheet that's going to help us do the other one. So here we're essentially going to go, I'm going to go if is any. So what is any does, it basically looks for the keyword within the string. So in this case, I'm looking for the word jewelry, regardless of, I'm just going to copy and paste this here, regardless of capitalization. So if you don't include the I1, then it will include. So in this case, I'm going to be looking at, I'm going to look at a couple of different fields. So here I'm going to look at description plus purchase, and basically it's going to look for that word within within those fields. So I'm going to go, so is any either gives us 0 or 1. So basically I'm adding up these ones and I'm saying if the score is going to be greater than 0, that means one of these words have been flagged. So we're looking for like gifts, things like people are purchasing electronics, a number of different things. So actually no, I'm not going to use the if statement. I think this will, no, sorry, yeah, mixing up the order of things. So I'm going to use or statements. So if it's true on any of these statements, which is going to be a value of 1, then let's export it. So we can see here, if we look in the description, purpose, or we look in the vendor description, there's definitely some options, gifts, electronics. The main one, look at electronics, is that you're worried about people purchasing software or IT hardware outside the regular purchasing process, but also from an IT asset provisioning point of view. So if you go and purchase a server on your own, it's not an asset and it can't be reallocated to other departments if it's not in use anymore, or maintenance, or all that stuff. So how we're going to tackle these ones, which are basically amount of transactions that occur on transaction days that match public holidays, or on one of these like not allowed expense category codes based off of the merchant type description, is I've I have a Excel file that evaluates that. So it's on disallowed. I should have put public holidays as well, but that's fine. And then here, basically, we're going to import both of them. I'm going to call this new data. And essentially what we're going to do here, pretty simple, is I'm going to join. And I'm going to do the holiday one first. Join it with holidays. And then the matching fields are going to be the transaction dates. The to date fields. And I'm going to do matches only. I'm going to go Pcard holiday. And I only want the holiday. I don't want the date because I already have that. Okay. See what's and then you can obviously do a summarization to see when you have to question like why are there, and there may be valid reasons for a number of different reasons, but it's still something that you should look into. So we're going to look at disallowed, and we are going to use the merchant type description, and it's going to be category on the other one. In this case, we're going to call it Pcard disallowed. So you can see here, actually quite a few transactions, about 10% of the transactions. You could then roll these up and then score these different transactions to which ones you would look at. But I would recommend probably sampling from each of these to understand, are your parameters effective? Do you need further tuning? Do you need additional data? Maybe you need to know like when people are on holidays, where they travel to, what their job description are, what their position is. So a number of different other characteristics that you could include in here, but I think this is a good start. Helps you analyze and slice the data rather than before. What you would normally do if you didn't have cats is you would just randomly select 25, 75, 150, or all the transactions of senior executives rather than actually using this risk-based scoring to help you determine which transactions and really gain a profile of the transactions that you're looking at. And a big part of why you use cats on Pcards is that there's a lot of transactions, very few controls, and to be frank, not a lot of people look at like Pcard transactions within an organization. So, and people make mistakes or people try to take advantage of these weaknesses. But obviously there's a lot of benefits in using Pcards as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. And I look forward to speaking to you next time. Thank you.